Elf in Winner Take Elf. Like, share, and subscribe. When Willie Tanner asked his wife Kate and their two children, Lynn and Brian, to gather in their living room, it was to tell them the bad news. "We can't take that vacation to Yellowstone Park we've been planning," he said. "Our old car won't make the trip, and we simply can't afford the new station wagon we want to buy." Suddenly, Elf knew why Willie hadn't invited him to the family meeting. "It's all my fault," he thought to himself. "If they didn't have to pay to feed me and bail me out of trouble all the time, they'd have plenty of money for the new car. I have to find a way to make it up to them." The very next day, Elf came up with a plan. He talked Brian into hiding him in his wagon and wheeling him down to the local TV station. This was where they filmed the popular game show, Beggin' for Dollars. Once they reached the TV studio, Elf climbed out of the wagon. Nobody noticed his unusual appearance. Everyone who wanted to be contestants on Beggin' for Dollars had to dress up in a crazy costume. Elf fit right in with the rest of the crowd. The long line was moving too slowly for Elf. "Hold my place, Brian," he said, "while I look around for another entrance." Elf walked around to the corner where he saw a group of workmen carrying prizes for the show into the building. "Hey, no problem," thought Elf to himself. "I'll just work my way right in between the TVs and these gorgeous refrigerator freezers. Those guys will never notice that I slipped in. I wonder if they thought to stack any of those fridges with fish fillets or chili cats." Elf tried to sneak past the men, but one of them caught him and picked him up. "Hey, put me down," Elf cried. The workmen laughed and clapped. They thought that Elf was a great prize for the show, a talking plush toy. "Ha," laughed Elf to himself when he realized where the men were taking him. "I'm so adorable, they just couldn't resist. Guess I'll relax and enjoy the ride." The men carried Elf into the studio along with the other show prizes. Meanwhile, Lynn Tanner had returned home from school and found the note from Brian explaining where he and Elf had gone. "This looks like trouble with a capital T," said Lynn as she read the note. "Take Elf, a TV show, and refrigerator prizes," and it all sounded like a losing combination. "I better get down to the studio before this little trip turns into a headline news." 10 minutes later, Willie arrived. "I didn't have time to go to the costume shop," he explained, "so I borrowed this suit from the man who handed out coupons in front of the Choo Choo Chicken. But I have to get it back by 3 o'clock. Let's go! Rush!" Willie took the place that Brian had been saving in line and was soon chosen as a contestant on Beggin' for Dollars. A few minutes later, Willie was seated in the studio audience. Then suddenly he heard the game show announcer yell, "Contestant number 42, come on down!" 42 was Willie's number. Willie won the first 2 rounds of the game. He tried the third round with a woman dressed as a giant acorn squash. There was only 1 round to go, and he would have to win that in order to choose Elf as his prize. Willie won the round and picked door number 3. Elf would soon be his prize. Lynn and Brian cheered wildly from their seats. Door number 3 was the booby prize door. Willie won some plush toys, 43 cases of oven cleaner, and a lifetime supply of candy bars. And Elf, who stood among the toys, relieved to know that he would soon be going home with the Tanners and not that crazy squash lady. The acorn squash lady picked door number 2 and won the luxury camper that Elf had wanted for the Tanners. She jumped up and down and gave the show host a big kiss on the cheek. "Oh, please," groaned Elf as he watched the jumping squash. "If it's anything I can't stand is a mushy squishy. Just give her the keys and let her roll out of here." Willie, Lynn, Brian, and Elf were silent as they walked slowly to the car. Willie's tail feathers were drooping, the kids were tired and hoarse from cheering so loudly, and Elf was feeling generally miserable. Where had such a great idea gone wrong? Just then, the acorn squash lady drove up in her new luxury camper. Elf groaned again. "Hey lady," he yelled, "how about driving that arc-size buggy someplace where we don't have to look at it?" Then the acorn squish lady pulled off her headpiece of her costume. "Hop in, everyone," she exclaimed. "It's me, Kate. I thought that 2 Tanners on the show would be better than 1. Now we can go to Yellowstone Park in style." "Yo, Kate," exclaimed Elf. "I knew it was you all along. Hey, this is neat. Put this ocean liner in gear and let's roll. The Wildcats in Yellowstone call." Elf and the Tanners pulled into the beautiful new camper. Everyone was happy, especially Elf. He figured that the lifetime supply of candy bars they won should last him at least 2 weeks. What a delightful dessert after enjoying a wildcat dinner around the campfire in Yellowstone.